go on a little drive here. We'll check out Fancy's Beach. Alright, here we are, driving along in my numbered independent variable 01C. And now we will be passing by the location of my headquarters. And there's my NX-01-B. We'll continue along in my NX-01-C, my numbered independent variable 01C. Oh, there's a dog.
Yep, a basset hound.
Yep. Rough there, but not too bad. Not as bad as dirt roads often get around here. So far, so good. We're actually probably in the worst Cavalier for driving a rough road. Because this one, the ecotec, when you try to go slow over things, it doesn't have much low-end torque. So you give it a little more gas, and you give it a little more gas to slowly go over like a rock or a bump. And it just doesn't want to do it. It's more likely to roll back, then all of a sudden it jolts forward. I found the ecotec less stable than the old overhead valve engines. And we're also found the overhead valve engines a lot more efficient too. And of course the 2.4 liter double overhead cam, the quad 4s, they also seemed a lot more stable than the ecotec. I also even found them easier on gas, and they're not supposed to be. I suppose it depends on how you drive, and if you drive those engines easier, then you can get more economy out of them. And the ecotec is just not good for efficient driving.
Well, it's a little bit of ruts and rocks now, but this
yeah.
isn't bad.
No, this is nothing compared to what it often is. Woo! That was a little bit of an up and down wobble. Of course, if it was an older Cavalier, we'd have an extra inch of ground clearance. And ground clearance is good. A lot of cars are giving up the ground clearance so that they look like weird little bricks sliding down the road, which apparently has a very, very small beneficial factor on aerodynamics. Of course, other things can be done to improve their underside aerodynamics. And of course, lowering your center of gravity makes you a little more stable in sharp cornering conditions, but that doesn't seem worth it when you become that much more vulnerable to road debris. Now, this is usually the crummy spot up here.
I was just going to say, this is usually the worst spot.
Just trying to adjust my position in my seat here. There we go. Getting myself comfortable. How does this look? Looks the same as always. Looks better than a lot of times, though it could be worse. Right.
It does look a lot bumpier right now.
Ooh. It was just the floor. I actually had more jolting ridges.
It's So
Well, the
somebody
last times
who's...
we're out here.
The last few times I had been over that bridge area there, it actually was a lot worse, with a lot more rocks jolting up awkwardly. However, this time I did unfortunately strike the floor of the car. No harm done. Well, actually, you can see how I return and avoid bumping the underside of the vehicle later in the video. But this goes back to why I made the mistake of going over the bridge just a little too fast, and the car wobbled up and down a little too much and struck the underside. Goes back to what I was saying earlier. This ecotec powered Cavalier, the ecotec being often praised by reviewers at the time for its ability to easily generate power in an economy car, has never actually impressed me, because I found the other Cavalier engines more efficient, both the overhead valve ones as well as the older 2.4 liter double overhead cam ones. I just could never get as much economy out of the ecotec as those ones. But also, low end torque. I found that trying to go slow over rough spots in the ecotec never worked very well for me. You'd press a little bit harder on the pedal to maintain your speed when the bumps go up, to try to go up over it, and the engine would still not be producing enough power, and you'd either end up rolling backwards or not rolling forward. You press a little bit harder on the pedal, and all of a sudden, well, actually usually press a little bit harder and you still don't get a reaction. Then you press a little bit harder than that, and all of a sudden with a jolt, it surges forward. This was not a problem in the older engines. I found they had good low-end torque, but the ecotec has always seemed miserable to me going over rough roads. When you try to go over the rough roads slow and careful, because for every dip down you have to go back over a bump up, and that is very awkward. Now, if you're driving in a vehicle like this ecotec, which is not as easy to control as an older Cavalier, one thing you can do is get ready to slam your foot on the brake with every time it surges forward. The older Cavalier engine seemed quite well suited to tasks like this. Lots of low-end torque, so they could easily shrug off going over bumps slowly and carefully, handling speed bumps slowly and carefully, handling just plain parking and moving from a parked position on a sharp grade while in close quarters. But this ecotec might be a little awkward.
Yeah, up here is also up around here a little bit. The road will probably get crummy again.
This is probably 4 minutes since we were last recording. Or something like
maybe. It didn't even seem like that much.
No.
But actually, the road looks better than it used to. Looks like it might have been graded since the last time we were out here. I haven't seen it look this good up at this section for a long time.
Although the grass in the center is well established.
Yeah, but it could have been graded late last year since the last time we were out here. Because usually the grader just goes so far and stops here. But this had a lot of rocks jolting up all over the place, and you had to move all the way this way and all the way that way to get around the big rocks jolting out of the ground. This is still a little bit
rugged.
tricky looking here, but a little caution.
They definitely did something.
Oh yeah, it's way better than it used to be.
No, but I'm thinking about these rocks here. Were they always there?
Not as far as I know.
The rocks on the side.
Yeah. Wonder if we should go down here before we know what it looks like. Yeah, well.
Oh, there's some bunnies.
Yep.
Alright, Rabbit, you better get out of the way.
Yeah, we're driving so that the wheels are up on that hump.
Yeah.
Do make contact with a lot of bushes on the side.
There's some rabbit laying down up there too.
Yep. So it'd actually be pretty much perfect if they trim those bushes by the side that whack the front of the car.
Or grade it down so that the center hump isn't
Yeah,
there.
so then you wouldn't have to drive as careful over the center hump.
Because there's one laying right there, and she's not moving. There they go.
Yeah. When we get close enough, they don't want
Oh,
to make
there's a
close
little
contact.
fluff of their hair.
Yeah. Ooh. Those halters were thicker than I thought when they bumped the...
The mirror.
Yeah. It was enough to bonk the mirror and make it flex because it's flexible. Yeah, that would be no problem if they trim the bushes by the side of the road. Well, it doesn't look like there's any water across it at all.
No.
Well, without much risk of getting salt water on the vehicle.
So those rocks might be a bit high though, but
Yeah. Which would be a reason to drive slow and careful. That's rocks flying off the wheels there. I could hear one bounce up into the wheel well. And here we are.
yeah.
We are at the beach. And we should get out of here before there's any salt water back, because I would not want to get salt water on the vehicle. Although technically it shouldn't be any worse than what it experienced in the winter. And on the return trip, I'll just have to be a little extra careful going over that really rocky bridge. Oh, that chair is new. Well, that chair is new to this location anyway. I wouldn't say it's actually new.
there's definitely signs of human activity here. We made it. Here we are at the beach. Well, this specific beach. It's not what a lot of people. It's not what a lot of people would think of as a beach because there's not really any noticeable amount of sand.
Yeah. Well, there's the sand is way down under the water.
Yep.
Make out what it said, but this looks like it may have been part of an old tombstone or something.
Yeah.
It looks like there had been a name
Yeah.
etched into it or something.
Finding graves and tombstones are your special skill, but yeah, it looks like that could have been.
Some sort of monument.
Yeah. Something was etched in stone.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, otherwise it's just a beach rock. I suppose might as well take it with us because it's not a natural beach rock.
No, it's not. It's actually, there's pieces of granite and it looks like it's a concrete
Yeah.
type mixture of granite into it.
Yeah. That is something interesting to find.
Yeah.
Somebody must have caught that lobster and his claw must have got free, so to speak. Torn off or something. Maybe they cooked them.
Probably.
But then they wouldn't have taken that off if they had cooked them. They're usually green until they're cooked, but sometimes if they've been setting in the sun or an environment after the animal has died, you'll sometimes see shells change color even without being
Also,
boiled.
look at the way that
Yeah.
that shell curled up.
Yeah, it's all deformed. Yeah, it must have been in high temperature.
Yeah. Because underneath the band it's bright red and then the sun faded
Yeah.
it, so it would have been cooked.
I remember when there used to be big planks going along here and up over the edge. That must be what's all that's left of one of them. Used to go all the way from there right up to stick up over the edge a little bit. Green lichen on these rocks is interesting. Alright, so we're ready to go back?
Yep.
And off we go, the return trip. As we look out the front window for a second and see, we are on our way back. And now the path is a little bit less rough. I moved a few of the rocks that I had to maneuver around the first time, so I can do this even easier with less effort. Despite all the alders whacking the side of the car earlier, I'm just maneuvering to get maximum ground clearance here. None of them scuffed the paint whatsoever. I mean, they scuffed against it, but they didn't leave any scuffed marks. They're not nearly as abrasive as they sound. And of course I'm driving on what would be a little bit considered the wrong side of the road, just because it's easier for me to watch what I'm driving over. But overall it's not that bad.
other than a little, well, it made a noise, but that's about all it did, at least compared to the bushes on the way out. Overall, it's not that bad of a drive at all. And here we are. It's been a while since we explored the cemetery, but we probably don't want to do that today, do we?
Due for that bird, though.
Oh yeah, wow. He'll move. There he goes. Or she. Probably a she.
Probably.
We probably want to do that a different day, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe a different day for going out there.
Yes.
That looks like that'll probably be pretty easily passable. Because the worst thing out there is mud, and the ground is pretty dry right now.
Traveling out that side road to the field, which kind of overlooks parts of Fancy's Beach, is usually pretty easy. Although it's been a while since I've traveled out there. I have done it before and probably will do it again, but not on this trip.
I remember that road there, and one time I was in the car with my mother, and we drove down that road and back and out this way in the old 1987 Cavalier.
That looks like a chicken.
Yeah, we're seeing all sorts of animals we don't usually see out here. Usually we just see crabs crossing the road.
Oh my god, that looks like a chicken.
Well, you want to cross the road there, chicken.
Or maybe that's the male grouse. I've never seen
Oh,
him.
but
Yeah, that's what he is. I can see his tail.
you want to be more cautious of humans there, because the next humans that come along are liable to murder you. Vroom, vroom.
I know it'll get him to go. No, he's not even doing that.
Stop and get out and take a look. I'm sure that'll get the bird to fly. Well, possibly metaphorically fly.
Look at him, he's strutting. Little rooster is strutting.
Hey there, little bird. You might want to stay off the road, and generally you should be more scared of humans than you are right now, because the next ones might have projectile weapons. That
Isn't
would
he
not
cute?
be good. It is a cute creature. There you go. Hopefully in the future he'll be more cautious around humans, though.
Dude, he's turning and looking at us.
Yeah, that is very cool. That is very cool. Wow.
Isn't he sweet?
We should probably get going.
Yeah. What a cute little bird.
I just hope next time it's or he's more cautious around humans.
Mm.
We don't normally see them out here anyway, so it's probably unlikely. You know that they'll whatever ones are around statistically, they'll probably stay away from this area anyway.
Yeah.
So we've been out here enough times. And
Hey, buddy.
Don't block the road. Well, at least he didn't go in the car. We left the door open.
Yeah, I didn't want to slam it to scare him.
well, should I see if he'll fly away if I step over there?
Okay.
Let me get that close.
Yep.
He's curious. He's curious.
He is
He's
curious.
over there. Curiosity about humans can be dangerous depending on which humans you find, but
Well, at least if he had to run into humans.
yeah, at least it was us.
Yeah, we're the
At
ones
least it
he...
was benevolent ones as opposed to the usual malevolent ones.
I say we start up the Cavalier and continue along. And coming along next, when we return to this bridge area, I will cross it without bumping the underside of the vehicle, although the car will make some banging as I go along, because this ecotec engine, in the low RPMs, it has very little low-end torque. Both the throttle and the transmission seem to be working fine, but the torque, basically when it's at low RPMs and held back with any amount of force or weight, it just doesn't want to rev up sufficiently to turn the wheels. It stays within the range that the torque converter will allow for, but as it gets up to the point where the wheels have to move, it will resist revving any higher as I open the throttle more and more, unless I open it a little bit more to the point where it'll jolt forward and try to rev up even more than I would want it to, and of course the wheels will kick in even more than I would want them to if it starts to rev up like that, because the torque converter will only allow for so much difference in wheel speed and engine speed. So to compensate for this, I will let it do its little burst of speed, a little burst of force that it takes to go up over little bumps and hills and ruts. And to compensate for the quick moving forward, I'll then slam on the brakes hard, alternating, which is not something I would ever have to do in any other Cavalier. Well, at least not any other Cavalier with any other engine I've ever experienced in a Cavalier. Especially not with any other Cavalier that features this 4T40E transmission, which normally is really good in conditions like this.
This is the roughest stretch of the road, and I've seen it worse though after it's been washed out, and I've managed to traverse it better under worse conditions though. Yeah, there's where the problem came from. Just gotta go slow and careful, which is not easy in this car. Pesky lack of low-end torque. Let's see. Oh. There we go. And now the bumping, of course, was actually the brakes as I go more carefully than I did last time. Oh, yeah, now I gotta back up a little bit. Alright. There we go. Let me see if you go slow and easy. And that was not a problem in the old overhead valve Cavaliers with their extra low-end torque. It's just easier to control them at slow speeds. But that time I didn't bump the underside whatsoever. But I went a little more slow and careful. But going slow and careful is actually harder in the ecotec because the speed either wants to die off or just jolt forward.
Hey, there's a Cavalier.
Yeah. It's always good to see a Cavalier.
But not when they're in the middle of the road, blocking the path.
Ah, we can get past. We can get past. Yeah, we got past that Cavalier, no problem.
Yep.
And there it is behind us. I can see it in the rearview mirror. It's always good to see Cavaliers. That was one of the coolest eras of Cavaliers. The appearance is definitely 95 through to 99. My preference in engines was the version available from 94 to 97. And there we have a sunset to end our little drive out to Fancy's Beach. And on this day of, well, Common Era, also known as Contemporary Era, that would be 2014 or 2014, month 5, aka May, and the day 16th of May. And we're having a little drive in my Cavalier. one of my Cavaliers, and this incarnation of my Cavalier being the NX-01-C, the numbered independent variable 01-C. We are driving off into the sunset. And although we will not be getting a view of the NX-01A Cavalier, we can now see the NX-01B Cavalier. But wait, there's more. Shadow found something.
We were just turning at random, and I saw this hanging in the tree. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bird skeleton.
Not often I see a skeleton hanging from a... Was that alder? No, it's not. Yeah, it is.
That's
No,
an
it's
alder.
not. Looks a little different.
You call that bird? Look at that. I can smell something now.
Yeah, so can I. It reminds me of one of the roads that interconnect with the road out to Mitchell Bay, or that come off of the road to Mitchell Bay. Maybe if it wasn't blocked by swampiness, this would be part of it. So you found some more bones. Sure, Shadow found some interesting bones, but the whole reason why we came back and noticed those bones was because we saw this case and was wondering what was in it. Guess it's nothing. It's empty. No tools or anything, it's empty. Yeah, we're driving off into the sunset.